Are we're on, yes. And we have an audience. Thank you, guys. I know you've come especially to see us, which is great. Really appreciate it. Yeah, oh, you actually have. Genuinely surprised. Thank you. Great to have you here. Right, we'll do some intros in a minute, but just to make sure you're in the right place, we're talking about our digital workplace, Fresh, and we're talking about a case study that project that we've done with Bristol Airport. They've been an absolute cookie-cutter approach for us. They've been really good. They've done loads of great things, things we wish more of our customers would do, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Before we get started, a quick overview on what Fresh is and why it exists. Fresh is our digital workplace that sits in Office 365. So for us, this is all about single place to go, single jumping off point, but really signposting and navigating users to other areas of M365 to do their jobs, essentially. Others may call it an intranet. Right, so in terms of who we are, this is me on the left in the Lake District. Dan Hipkin, I'm a solution expert for Fresh. Someone trusted me with that title and our product, I'm not sure who. You can talk to me about Fresh and all stuff there, but also business change and adoption. Don't chat with these guys, chat with me instead. And also, just a little fun fact as well, I like to run. I'm not doing any marathon stuff. I abandoned my attempt at training for a marathon. I'm short distance only. I'm not an absolute madman. And I am joined by the wonderful Sonia.
Hello. Oh, hello. First time on a microphone. My name's Sonia Vandrey. I'm the Client Engagement Manager for Fresh. And my main responsibility is to keep our clients happy, consistently happy with the product and services that we offer. We are engaging with them on a regular basis throughout their life cycle, starting with strategic input on their intranet strategy, content strategy, and then going forward, once we've implemented the product, they've got a consistent phase. We have got regular meetings. We keep them abreast of any updates of the product, anything that Microsoft may bring out that influences their end users that they can communicate, or something that influences their product roadmap that we help design.
There you go, I can save you now. Before we go on to that slide, just you're ruining it. It's all right. So just a very, very quick overview in terms of Bristol Airport and who they are. So they're obviously an airport based out of Bristol. I've ruined that surprise slightly, but they're 275 staff. And they've also got, I think, in the region of 2,500 plus concession workers, frontline workers. So they've got a lot of people to reach outside of their immediate operational staff. And for them, this is a big kind of tick in the box. They're trying to reach them and engage with them and communicate with them. So this was really the start of our project and our engagement with them. Yep, thank you. So to start off with, one of the key things for us starting any project and working with our customers when we're looking at intranets is really, what are you trying to achieve? Because it's not just communications, and I just want to have a platform that people can go to. There has to be more that's underpinning it. And Bristol Airport did a fantastic job at thinking about this ahead of time. We didn't have to do an awful lot to help them shape this. They came up with these things really, really nicely. I won't talk through all of them, but a couple of really kind of highlights for me. Having something where they could get to their operational systems. They're working in lots of different areas across lots of different tools, and to have this as a jumping off point and being able to access those and have a consistent experience was a really important thing for them. My favorite one is number 4. They're an operational airport, and I think for head office or back office staff, sometimes it can be difficult to realize that there is a whole tranche of people who are working, and from baggage handlers to people in boots, and they're keeping the place going. So they wanted to create this environment where you had a real operational feel to a 24/7 airport, something that was really going on all the time. So thinking about webcam feeds and all of that sort of stuff, so you can see what's going on. So I'm going to hand over to Sonia, and Sonia's going to talk to you a little bit about the approach that Bristol Airport took. So again, they did loads of work, and this is the approach that they came up with themselves.
Thank you. So they came up with a three-phase plan on how they would manage the intranet implementation. They wanted to introduce a single source of truth. So the main bit for them was starting with the basics, starting with the minimum viable product, showing people what they could offer, and giving them this new platform that they wanted to be based on SharePoint, because their employees were already used to utilizing SharePoint, so it wouldn't be so difficult for them to navigate around and for the content editors to actually utilize it. So their plan was to launch an easy-to-use intranet as step one, and just adding first some basic content, giving them a good structure so employees start to understand the navigation, understand how to find content, and then building a champions network and a change plan that they had underlying this to spread the word, to make sure that people are comfortable with the new information, where to find it and how to get to the information. Second phase was now reviewing feedback that they got from the user community after launch. They ran it for a while, so they then looked at the feedback, incorporated the feedback into improving their portal. They're also enhancing the content now, bringing in more content from the basic content they initially launched with, reviewing whether it's consistent, whether it's relevant, talking to more content editors to bring them into the fold, to make sure that they also understand how to bring relevant content and up-to-date content to their employees. And now phase 3 is taking it forward. So now they're working with us on the roadmap, looking where they want to take the product, if they want to add maybe links to external platforms, bring more information into the platform to make it more relevant for people to actually go onto the intranet, and bringing them all together in a shared experience. I think that's you, Dan.
So before we kind of come on to where the role that we played and where we came into this, something that Bristol Airport did very differently is the fact that they'd thought about their approach already. They had done lots of work with their business, so they'd carried out some research, they'd engaged with user groups and focus groups across the organization, and this really helped inform what they wanted to achieve through those phases. And for us, it then really just became a case of us fitting in around what they knew was going to work for their organization already. So the first piece for us, maybe a little bit of an obvious one, we worked with them around the implementation. Something that was a little bit different for us, but we really enjoyed and worked quite well, is Bristol Airport were working with a digital agency to come up with their brand and identity for their intranet. So from your iconography, so we've got their logo up on the top right there, Connect. They did a lot of work in kind of shaping this that was driven by user research. They're also looking at things like tone of voice and what the structure and layout of the intranet should be. So we got to work with the other third party there, which we found really handy. And really for us, it was about getting the product implemented pretty quickly in line with these key principles that the digital agency had aligned for them. And then really looking at getting the product set up and configured to get them ready for day one. An approach that we take a lot of our customers through is the idea of launching with a minimal viable product, or a minimal lovable product, as we sometimes refer to it. And the idea here is that you can iterate and grow and build. So you're not trying to over-engineer it from day one, and you're not trying to kind of get too much of a consensus, and you can wait for feedback and see how people are using it and engaging with the platform and build from there. And this is where we then go into our post-deployment phases, which is Sonia's big role. I won't steal your thunder.
Well, that's very kind, thank you. So once the implementation is done, then I become a little bit more hands-on, helping the client, providing ongoing support, giving them advice on how to use our various web parts the best way, finding out what they'd like to achieve and giving them advice on how to do this best, building on our expertise that we've gained through other implementations and through the use of how other clients use the product. We advise on some features, so when they start with a minimal viable product, they just start with the same layout pretty much, so we can come up with new ideas on how to change it around, make it more interesting for their users, how to maybe utilize things differently to how they haven't maybe thought about it. And as we know the product in depth, we can advise on how to take it forward. Obviously, as you can see here, we're throughout all of the phases, we provide ongoing training and support. And that's not just the training for the intranet owners, but also their content editors, because they need to understand when we bring out new releases, which happens every 12 weeks, what the new features are, how they're being used, and giving them maybe some ideas how they could bring it into their day-to-day use. In phase 3, taking it forward, as I just mentioned, we're bringing out regular product updates, so that fits into their product roadmap. So they've got an idea of where they want to take the product. They've got some kind of project plan to know all the milestones and what they need to do when they need to communicate things. So we explain to them what's coming, we tell them when our releases are happening, and I provide them with sneak previews of what is coming, and we already figure out how they could utilize it going forward. So they're now planning on utilizing more of the product. There's a lot that they haven't used yet, so they're now looking at expanding this use, and they're also looking at third-party integrations, so they're now really taking the product into the future.
So, yeah, something that we really recognize as a part of the Fresh team is that the hard work starts once you've deployed a product. The technology should be the easy bit. That's why we exist, to take that burden away from our customers. And Sonia really kind of comes into her own post-deployment, where we're able to help customers go through that iterative model and build out that roadmap. As an intranet vendor, we maintain a pretty healthy roadmap for the product ourselves. So we're delivering innovations to our customers at the same time. And without Sonia's support and guidance and steer, customers can struggle and not really, kind of get a bit stagnant sometimes. The old idea that an intranet sort of dies a death and sits in a corner, without someone to help guide them and keep them on their path, which is what Sonia does a great job of, that can often be the case. So, a quick summary of kind of what made it a success. So I think there are some things that Bristol Airport absolutely nailed and they knocked out of the park. The idea of starting with a strategy, it sounds like such an obvious piece, but one that people so often overlook. They lead with the technology in their head and they don't think about what they're setting out to achieve. And that's where those objectives really come into their own and become a really important piece. Change management, we all love change management, but Bristol planned for this from the get-go. So they were taking a user-led approach. They were thinking about what their business needed and how their business were going to react to a product like this and how they needed to embed it in the organization. So planning for that from the beginning meant that they were well set up to deal with any objections and any challenges as a part of the program. I talked a little bit about the agency that they worked with. The concept of creating this identity and brand was fantastic. They knew exactly what they were not only selling to the exec and their stakeholders internally, but they were adding some consistency for their end users. So everyone knew when they were receiving a piece of comms about Connect, it's the intranet and it's got the consistent branding on there. When they're viewing policy and they know that it's got that branding on there, it's in the intranet, it's a part of Connect. But it was also an opportunity to kind of kickstart a bit of a community feel through the platform that's driven by that branding. And then tied a little bit to the change management piece there is the idea of launching with champions. They did a lot of work in recruiting and defining what that network should look like and what that means for intranet. And they did, they did a great job at getting that started from the beginning. And then they've maintained that throughout. And these champions are people who are content creators, they're perhaps subject matter experts in their departments, and these are all people who are driving traffic and driving value as a part of their intranet. From our side, some things that we we really like our customers doing, and we always encourage them to do. Things like having a dedicated intranet owner, having one person who's able to make decisions, help with the direction and the strategy of what the product should be doing, makes us so much easier. Again, this is a really common thing where intranets end up not having any ownership and they fall by the wayside. And that, I think, is a really big mistake. So we encourage this from very early on. We also encourage splitting this into technical and business. Our technical owners are going to be thinking about, what are we doing with the product? How do we want to bring some of these new changes in? What might the next iteration look like? But the business owner is someone who's putting the users first, and it's that user-centric approach which is key. The final point on here, and I know I've sung Sonia's praises lots, but where we've picked up Bristol Airport and kept them on a track and helped keeping them meet their objectives and give them their roadmap, this is helping us with continued success with them. So Sonia, I think you have regular engagements with them on I think a monthly basis at very least, probably multiple times a month at this point, and that is all about keeping them on the right path and helping them meet their objectives. That is a real whirlwind, whistle-stop tour of Bristol Airport and what they did and some stuff that we did. I hope that was useful and a little bit insightful. Sonia and I mean, you can't miss us. We're in bright pink, but we'll hover around for any questions. But otherwise, thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah.